Welcome to Skyline Cellar. Today we are doing some packaging. On Mondays we fire up the packaging line, and today we are working on a beer that we love this time of year. It's called Irish Goodbye. So we've already gone through the process of fermentation, and we've cooled it down, removed all the yeast, and transferred it over to our bright tank. Now that it's in a bright tank and we've carbonated it and done a carb test on it to make sure we have the right amount of fizz, it's passed the test, and today's the day to move it over to packaging. So what we have right here is we'll run our CO2 into just enough head pressure on it to force the beer through these lines right here, down through our ice trough. We like to keep our beer nice and cold. Down through the ice trough and over to the operator at the packaging line. That's right there, that's the fill. So Sean right now is operating the fill station, and what he does is before we start canning, we label all of our cans, and then we'll boil water to deoxygenate it, sterilize it. And each can gets sprayed with a little bit of water, and we also inspect inside of each can. So after that process is done, we take the flat of empty cans and flip them over, and we send them over to seamer. There's a small button. It's our humble little seaming line. We hit the button, it fills the can, and there's a little switch on there that can sense liquid, and it shuts off. And while that's all going on, we're also purging the cans of oxygen. So there's CO2 going into the can, and then we put beer on top of it. Sean will hand it over to Mike. Mike puts a lid on it. He sets it over here, and it crimps the top of the can on. After that, we have some hot sanitizer just to rinse off the beer and make sure that we're nice and clean. Gets loaded into the flat. After we load them into the flat and the flat is full, we'll put our PackTex on. We like to use recycled PackTex if we can. And we have a spot up front where people will drop them off, and we'll re-clean them. It goes through a caustic water and sanitizer, and then we'll redo and reuse all the PackTex. It goes from there onto our hand truck and into the coolers for our customers. As soon as we're done with plain Irish Goodbye, we're going to be setting up for our peanut butter Irish Goodbye. People love the peanut butter Irish Goodbye. It has a different label and a different process. We'll actually be taking the beer out of the keg because we had flavoring, peanut butter flavoring to the kegs. So later on, we'll set that up, and we'll be able to take a peek on how we do that process. We're going from regular Irish Goodbye into peanut butter Goodbye. So I'm going to start loading up some ice in here. We want to keep this beer nice and cold, so that way we can minimize foam, and we can fill more beer into the can if it's nice and ice cold. This is basically
keep it cold. That'll force out the oxygen too, right? It'll expand, the beer will expand a little bit.
It keeps it. For me, I feel like the CO2 is more dissolvable in a solution that is around 36 degrees down to 34. We're probably closer to 34 degrees when we do this process. And I can really fill the can all the way to the top, which does help minimize oxygen in the beer. And oxygen is our enemy, so we're trying to stay away from as much oxygen as possible. Oxygen can cause your beer to taste different. You'll get off flavors. Some people describe it as like a cardboard flavor, and we don't want cardboard in our beer. Some beers are more susceptible to going stale from having oxygen in them. especially New England styles. Now, the stout that we're making right now is a little bit more forgiving, but we like to continue our practices of staying away from as much oxygen as possible, and keeping our beers consistent throughout the whole year, because you have a little bit of oxygen in the beer, especially a light beer. We'll just say a blonde ale. You might actually get some color from the oxygen in there. And people know when they see it visually, the presentation of it. If you have a beer that has oxygen in it, it's going to taste and visually look different. Sean right now is doing his changeover. He's flushing all of the plain Irish Goodbye out, and right now we're changing over to peanut butter